Shaman walkthrough here today. I've been gearing my Elemental Shaman up and getting him ready, primed and ready. Been playing it around 2600 MMR here, and I really enjoyed this composition in particular with a Mistweaver, Elemental Shaman, and Arms Warrior. This composition brought a lot of sustained damage as well as a 3-2-1 go style of play. It is very important that you play Lightning Lasso in this composition, and I opt to run Grounding Totem, Spectre Recovery, and Spirit Wolf combined together, which makes my Ghost Wolf super powerful Ghost Wolf, and you'll use that to run away whenever your healer is in crowd controlled and you need to start restabilizing yourself. Now, what do I mean by a 3-2-1 go? That means that every member on the team has a target they're looking to crowd control. So in this match, my Mistweaver is going to be crowd controlling the healer with Paralysis, my Warrior is going to be crowd controlling the Balanced Druid with Stormbolt, and I'm going to be crowd controlling the Shadow Priest with Lightning Lasso. And we aim to do that every single 30-second window of time, eliminating all three members from the match and applying a significant amount of burst damage to the Shadow Priest in particular. I opt to run Adaptation as this composition isn't too bursty with a lot of stuns, and I want to get out of more Cyclones for more sustained damage in general. The main sort of neutral stance for Elemental Shaman is to get Flame Shock on as many characters as possible. So in this position, the Shadow Priest and the Balanced Druid. You then want to generate Maelstrom with Lightning Bolt. I use Grounding Totem expecting some crowd control, but here's that 3-2-1. So my team Stormbolt's the Boomkin, Paralysis is the Shaman, and I Lightning Lasso the Shadow Priest. I then follow that with a Stormkeeper, but you don't want to attack into Greater Fade. That blue icon with a face on the Priest target frame there, it makes him immune to everything. You do not want to attack into that, especially with something like Stormkeeper. So I held on to it until the end of it, and then blasted him with all of the damage, which allowed us to get Earthen Wall Totem. It's very unlikely that we're going to get a kill after this with the Earthen Wall, so your main goal during this time is to just generate Maelstrom and get it up to a point where you can maybe do 2 Earth Shocks in a row. In this position, they've stunned my Mistweaver, and they are popping a lot of damage cooldowns on him, so I try to get in position, and I Lightning Lasso the Shadow Priest for a peel, and use Grounding Totem after he trinkets to deny any follow-up damage onto my Mistweaver Monk that would otherwise be able to kill him. And Grounding Totem is super effective against this comp as they all deal magic damage. As a result, they end up panicking and overlapping their Gladiator's medallions during a moment where there was not a lot of cross-effective CC. And now that none of the players have a Gladiator's medallion, this opens us up for that Lightning Lasso 3-2-1 win victory later on. We do manage to continue a bit of a chain with Intimidating Shout and Paralysis, and we're really trying to work our way through more defensive cooldowns from the Shadow Priest. With the position I'm playing at, I'm able to duck in and around the corner, using Healing Surge to top myself up through any sort of damage that I take, and line of sight Cyclone at the same time. And against a Wizard Cleave, especially a Boomkin like this, you want this pillar position. Your goal is to never really push out onto the enemy healer. It's your Mistweaver's job to do that. Your main goal is to avoid as much damage and do as much damage as possible to the target who's most forward. In this position, they've used Earthen Wall Totem, and it is before our 3-2-1, but we need to try and survive. You can see that even though my Mistweaver dipped dangerously low during that time, I held my Grounding Totem until the final second of the stun, because it's likely that they want to continue the crowd control chain with the maximum amount of time as possible. So grounding with 1 second left meant that he silenced into Grounding Totem, and it didn't connect to my Monk, and he was able to connect some healing. If I had put Grounding Totem down 1 second faster, they could have killed it, silenced him, and finished him off. So with Grounding Totem, when you're breaking up a crowd control chain such as Stun Silence, you want to use it with only 1 second left on it. Now in this position, we've gone through another Lightning Lasso attempt, and we've decided that the Shadow Priest isn't really working for us as a target. So we're going to try and poke our way at the Balanced Druid instead. And they've pushed up a little bit more aggressive, and you can see that I'm kind of stuck out in the middle of the map, and it's not a good place to be, so I just repositioned to the opposite pillar. They took mine, so I'm just going to take theirs, quickly hop over here, and we're waiting for the Lightning Lasso. I start communicating to my team, do we have Stormbolt? Can we go for it? In this position, we didn't have Paralysis, so we used Stormbolt instead on the Shaman. This removes Wind Shear. He is unable to Wind Shear my Lightning Lasso, and we'll get it off with a lot more burst as a result. We can then follow it up with Paralysis a little bit later on. Now going after the Balanced Druid, his positioning is a bit better than the Shadow Priest was and is forcing me out into the open a lot more often. So we would like to position a little bit further away than where we are currently. I try and bait the Boomkin to come out of bear form using Hex so he will dispel it. This would be a very effective strategy if Lightning Lasso was off cooldown. So hexing the Shaman, and as the Boomkin moves to dispel it with a Remove Curse, Lightning Lasso him. He has no defense when he's in that form, and he will likely die die. So that would be a good way for me to set up a kill on the Balanced Druid that I wasn't able to effectively do because I did not wait for my Lightning Lasso in that particular situation. I will say that my wind shear usage is not optimal in this match. I would like to be wind shearing Cyclones during our 3-2-1s, and I'm sort of saving it for that moment, but because we're attacking the Balanced Druid, he's going to be in bear form, not casting Cyclone. So I could be maximizing my shears on the Shadow Priest to reduce damage, not likely getting them on the Shaman in this position, but I do believe later in the game I push forward for a wind shear that ultimately wins the game on the healer. I will say though, my wind shears could be more maximized. Here's our setup attempt again. Stormbolt to remove wind shear, Lightning Lasso on the Balanced Druid, and we get the Balanced Druid's Gladiator Medallion. We still have a lot of pressure, and I try to continue the chain, activating my Orc Rachel and my On-Use Trinket to boost my damage. The Mistweaver continues crowd control with a paralysis, and I'm just dumping as much damage with instant proc Lava Burst as possible. I go for that Hex play again to bait the Boomkin out of bear form so I can connect a juicy Earth Shock without that bonus magic damage, and I wind shear the Shaman on the heal afterward to get the kill. So using Hex to trick a Balanced Druid out of bear form to remove it. We will either not remove it and take damage, remove it, or take more damage, but you want to time it with a stun or with a big Earth Shock, and if you can do that, you're going to have a lot better time killing a Balanced Druid. So the main goal here is to keep Flame Shock up on everyone, generate Maelstrom, and during your Storm Keeper, you want to be doing Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lightning Bolt. Hope you get another one. Lava Burst, Earth Shock, Lightning Bolt. And if you can get that combo off with a Stormkeeper, you will just erase your target basically out of the game. And then in this composition in particular, you want to be doing those 3-2-1s, communicate with your team. Can you Stormbolt? Can you Paralysis? And make sure that you communicate that ahead of time, who's doing what on who, so it's not mixed up, and then you can get your Lightning Lasso off effectively in that match. Cooldowns you would want to trade is Astral Shift for Incarnation. If your Mistweaver is crowd controlled, that situation didn't occur, but it's something you should definitely pay attention to. I hope that this Elemental Shaman walkthrough was of some use to you. Please consider hitting the notification bell and the subscribe button. I'm making guides every single day, and I'm doing my best to get them on every single specialization that you request. So please leave your feedbacks and your comments down below, because I read all of them and I love to read all of them and try and just help you guys out. That's my main goal, is to share all the knowledge that I attain with you so that you can then move forward for your goals as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.